My health world, namaste, enlightenment.
So namaste everyone, welcome to another special edition of My Health World. We have the most magnificent goddess with us today, all the way from New Delhi, India, Rashmi Khilnani. And Rashmi, there's not much that you haven't done. In particular, one of the highlights I would say of your career is you've produced and created a movie called IGod, and you've interviewed some of the top spiritual speakers in the world, Deepak Chopra, Neale Donald Walsh. If anyone doesn't know that name, he wrote Conversations with God.
I co-produced the film with Neale Donald Walsh, so we are the producers of the film. He got the spiritual New York best-selling guys into the film. It isn't my film, really. It was his film, but I was guided by Mahavatar Babaji, the Ascended Master, who's here to take 7 or 8 billion into unity consciousness, which is synonymous with my higher self, to bring some of the spiritual leaders and the people of the street in a film to show unity consciousness to the many paths to the divine. And incredible. I met Woody Allen in London, and I thought it would happen with him, though I wasn't sure. But then I came to America, and my publisher, who's also the publisher of Neale Donald Walsh and Richard Bach, and was one of the top publishers of channel material on the planet, he suggested I co-produce IGod with Neale Donald Walsh. So I said I need to go there and meet him, and so on. You know, these are many shows. We don't want to get stuck on my background as much as I'd like to share intel.
Yes,
on the story
what's happening in 2020, and you have this perfect poetry, perfect way of expressing the ascension process. At My Health, in our business, we're all about the ascension process. You're also a Reiki Master, which is something that we also do, and we just love that initiation process, that transmission process, helping people to activate.
I'm not just a Reiki Master. I'm a teacher of Reiki Masters into multiple higher frequencies of Reiki Mastery beyond Tibetan and Usui. So then we go into Karuna Reiki Mastery, where it's a much higher frequency and many more symbols, sacred geometry. Then we go into 3 types of Egyptian Reiki with Sekhem, which is so again, these are lots of shows, but I am a teacher of healers and teachers that create centers across the globe. And all this was the past again, because you keep amplifying energy and getting new jobs vis-a-vis spirit. So now it's more the morphogenic energies for the planet and the cosmos of being a golden age, such as never before, of new earth frequencies, of multidimensionality, of quantum being and becoming, because this is the wake-up cycle after 26,000 years on the ecliptic of being asleep. And now we are in the wake-up cycle. And so the photonic energies are encompassing the entire spectrum of around Gaia, and that is pure light. So we have electrons, protons, and then we have photons, which is pure light. And my name, Rashmi, in Sanskrit, it's my birth name, means moonlight and sunlight. And what is light? Light is information. And this is a time when, we can see that our media across the globe has been lying to us, tooth, line, and sinker, the corporations and so on and so forth. And so that is false light, whereas the true light emanates from within us. We are all sovereign beings. For many years in the sleep cycle, we became very patriarchal, very left hemispheric. It's now time to become all-brained, and the goddess rising is this energy of the divine feminine energy. It's not male or female gender. In everybody there is the male energy and the female energy, the doing energy and the being energy, the womb energy and the receiving energy of the divine mother, and then the divine father energies, and then from that is birthed the golden child. So that those energies exist in all of us, and that Heros Gamos is the sacred marriage of the male-female energies coming together within us for the sacred alchemy, because for too long we were in that left hemispheric, fight, flight, conquer, divide, rule, war, lack. And there is nothing lacking within us. We are all prime creator energy as fractals, and we are multidimensional and quantum. And so we are re-remembering that which we chose to forget in this duality polarity.
Really waking up from that soul amnesia, aren't we? And Rashmi, you are so incredible, the way you describe ourselves as that divine golden child. But let's speak, and I know that you had a lot of wisdom around the wounded child within us, because that's how we've got into a lot of the mess that we're in. We've neglected the child within ourselves. We're seeing that play out in the macrocosm as children being kidnapped, children being abused. You know, there's really this hell on earth that's being played out with our children. And what can we do to heal the wounded child within ourselves? How can we come back to the golden child who is deserving of all God's glory? What can we do to heal that wounded child?
That's a beautiful question. You know, we are all stuck. Most of us, until we heal, are stuck in the first 7 years of our lives. So when we're born with a very high frequency of source energy. I bring the presence of source with my presence, which is cosmic wind in the Mayan cosmology. And so that is what we all are. And so in those first 7 years, all the wounding starts, and the trauma, you know, just being born into a harsh reality and being smacked on the bum and, you know, receive all that artificial light. And that's not really the way the birthing process should occur. However, in the sleep cycle, everything has been inverted. Now it's moving right side up. And so all the conditioning and imprinting is largest in those first 7 years. And so most people have that trauma stored, and whether they're 60, 70, 80 or 90, they're still carrying those wounds. And that's what's playing out in the driving seat of their cars, of their consciousness and awareness as they navigate the earth walk. So Earth School is a school of self-love, and that soul that is born may be an ancient soul, it may be a mature soul, it may be a baby soul, it may have had many lifetimes on the planet. And that's why our children being born now, coming with very high frequency, the indigo children, I'm an early indigo, the diamond children, the gold children, it's incredible high consciousness. So, but anyway, so each and every one of us can bring out that wounded child every day onto our lap, in the bathtub, or under a tree, or on a walk, and ask it its name, and see how, and be its mommy and daddy, be the divine mother and divine father to that child, because now you know better, because now you're an adult, because now you have some wisdom of experience, and give it that full love and support that your mommy and daddy couldn't give it, because the genetic line wounding go backwards. And as you heal that, the genetic lines forwards will also heal together with the ones in the past, because time is liquid and it's simultaneous, and we can bend time, and ultimately we are all coming out of the tyranny of time, which is the tyranny of the mind, which is synonymous with conditioning, which is synonymous with programming, which is synonymous with duality. And we're coming into the integration of dark and light. And so we can talk about that, because that's another very important point. And then on the other lap, you bring out the divine child, and the divine child is your wisdom, is your soul energy, is divine play, is fully abundant, is non-stop creative, because we are prime creator energy. That is our impulse. Not human. There's so much goodness in humanity, but you see, our systems and our pressure and our conditioning and programming, and what teacher, parent, minister taught us, because that's all that they knew. And so team dark, team light, there's been this interplay, but ultimately the dark is not real. It's an illusion, and it's time to come out of that sleep.
And I think if people remember, we are living in a holographic reality here in the third dimension. I love how you bring it back to parenting ourselves, being the mother and father for that wounded child, so we transform into the divine child, because we don't therefore have to look outside of ourselves. We have the power. We are the creator, and it's absolutely magnificent that we hold the key for our own enlightenment, our own transformation, our own ascension. And your teachings couldn't be more perfect, particularly at this time where people feel very disillusioned about what to do next. We know we're in trouble in 2020. We know we've cast our light out to movie stars, rock stars, sports stars, anyone else, power struggles.
New age stars. There's no point replacing this need to constantly be validated from the outside, and this need to look good on the outside, and this need to follow some teacher, parent, minister, celebrity on the outside, with spiritual teachers and new age teachers and gurus. It's okay. Gu means darkness, ru means light. So the guru takes you from darkness to light. Ultimately, the Sadguru exists within each and every one of us. It's that divine innate wisdom of source, prime creator energy within us. And so, you know, stop being a follow your own heart, be still and know, get into nature, quiet down, slow down. Everything is speeding up because time is an illusion, but it's also the current is moving very fast, and the initiations are occurring every minute of every day. What took my Reiki masters many years, you know, to learn, and myself, all the different stages of all the different systems of energy mastery, self-mastery, self-realization, are now happening for every single human on the planet, rich or poor, famous or infamous, whoever they may be, in whichever country they may be. These energies are not allowing what no longer is real. All that is unreal is collapsing, which is my book, Shiva Speaks, Conversations with Mahavatar Babaji. These books are very thin books. They're handbooks. They are multidimensional books that have the energies behind the words, and they were channeled specifically for 2012 and beyond, for this wake-up cycle, the shift of the ages, where never before anywhere in the multiverses has this experiment occurred for 7 billion within free will, and then coming into divine will, fifth dimension will, to awaken. Now, we can't force this, and it's an experiment. We don't actually know the outcome. So anybody who's predicting outcomes, you know, we can have probabilities, but the future is never set in stone. As each of us awaken, as each of us go within, as each one of us clear our inner feng shui, our inner clutter, and release ideas, places, beliefs, concepts. Beliefs and concepts are not the frequencies of the now. The knowing, like you know that the sun is rising in the morning, that's what's going to get you through. And your intuition, and your humor, and your presence, and your grounded being, like the roots of a tree to Mother Earth, the heart of Mother Earth, then your own heart. Then you can get into your third eye, your crown, and then the higher frequencies, and bring them together in your heart and open your heart. So the Divine Mother Speaks, The Healing of the Human Heart. The first book is Egyptian Mystery School Made Simple, Energy Mastery Made Simple, Reiki Energy Mastery Made Simple, Ascension Made Simple, Healing and Holding Made Simple. And then Buddha Speaks, Nature Within is me asking questions of my Buddha nature and channeling the Buddha wisdom for the now moment, that in this time when we're paying bills and so on and so forth, how do we deal with everything?
Let me ask you, Rashmi. Yeah, let me ask you, how did you, because in India it's very much about having a guru, how did you awaken that the truth was inside of you? And at what point did that happen in your journey, where you knew that your mission, your gift to the world was to remind people that they are divine, they just need to dive deep within for that connection?
First, we have to reawaken ourselves. So in my case, as a little child, I was conceived by close to the Great Pyramid of Giza, and spent the first 6 years of my life in Egypt. So later years, I had recall of coming down from Venus and from very high frequencies, from other universe of beauty, actually, not even this universe, to help once again seed golden ages, a golden age such as never before.
Wow.
And one has as part of, you know, this is a group endeavor. This is not about my individual self-realization. If it was, you know, I may not even be on the planet right now.
Yeah.
We are taking all with us, and we are we're in a holding pattern. So people like myself, we work on 3D levels, 4D levels, 5D levels, multidimensional levels. We work with the nothingness energy and the everythingness energy. Now, this is not just for me. This is everybody. We are all nothing and everything at the same time. This nothingness energy is so important to understand. We can only understand it as the womb. If the womb isn't empty, the babies can't be born. The babies, whatever. And so we must understand the void energy. Everything comes from nothing. First, there was nothing. And then Prime Creator decided to understand itself. And so then there was the sound. And the sound was Om, which is the primordial sound. Then came the light. So in my case, as a little kid, I was talking to the goddess Hathor in the sky in my balcony in Zamalek. And then I went to London when I was 6 and wanted to be a Christian. Then at 10, I went back on a ship to India, and then I've lived all over the world. I had homes across the globe. I gave up everything because at a very young age, I became a jet setter, and I realized there was so much more to life. So I grew up awake and all the rest of it, but then, you know, going into schooling systems and all, you slowly go into programming and you forget. It wasn't time. I had to go through the full whack understanding of 3D to say this is not what it's about. If I hadn't been so super rich and such a jet set celeb type person, then I couldn't say that that's not where the happiness is, because it's not my experience in this lifetime. And then I started seeking. I wanted to meet actual enlightened beings in the body, and I got to meet some. And then I asked, whatever I asked for with full heart came to me. And then as once I got on my path through meditating again in Dubai, of all the places, meeting an enlightened being in India, and I just knew she was. I had nothing to say to her. I just looked at her and I knew. And but they insisted I ask her a question. So I said, okay, why are you on the, how did you achieve enlightenment? And she said, there's a reason you're on the floor and I'm on the bed, because we were all on the floor and she was on the bed, this lady. And I just got it. I just got it that, that it's a journey, and somebody said Reiki, because everybody, wherever I went, wanted me to be a spiritual teacher of that. And I just got non-denominational something. And she actually sent a message from India to Dubai saying Reiki. I'd never heard of it. This was a long, long time ago. And so my whole life has been about the golden age and all this. But I did do a lot of 3D stuff for a while. I got married and homes across the globe and this, that. And then I
think that's important, isn't it? Because then you're gathering data as an infinite being, having this physical experience. You're the God self gathering data everywhere you go. And it's useful what you find out, because when you have that reconnection, I mean, it's never left you, but that reconnection to that source energy, remembering that you're from Venus and possibly other star systems, and that you're here to help usher in the golden age. So you actually get to understand the humans, and I say that in inverted commas, star seeds and humans may be a different vibration, but star seeds nonetheless are having a human experience as well.
It's not the little human me that's seeding the golden age. It's the allowance and the vision and the knowing and the seership and the mystic understanding that this is now together, and there are many across the globe, and we don't have to get into who's got a higher frequency and who's got a lower frequency. The truth is, until everybody awakens, my job is not done as a bodhisattva. Your job is not done if that is your intention, which I feel it is as well. And many are across the globe. So now everybody's talking about ascension. Everybody's talking about 0 point, the void that I teach, and all these things. And I asked my students years ago to make methodology obsolete and me obsolete, because it's okay to have a guru or a teacher or a book or a follower following something for a short while to begin to ignite within. Once you ignite it within, it's not to give your power away outside of you. And I don't like that word power. I prefer the word, because there is no power in fifth dimensional frequency. Everything is free energy and consciousness. So everything is not energy. There is also consciousness, awareness. And so this is such an exciting time to be alive, because we have reached critical mass and Earth ascended in 2012, and so this is a crucial time now. Everybody's either going to awaken kicking and screaming, or with ease and grace. And so the breath is what we come back to, and I became healer to Leonard Orr, who's the father of rebirthing, which is modern Kriya Yoga, which is conscious connected breathing, which gives you physical immortality, which is what we are, and we've forgotten, and all the suppression and repression, and all these free gifts are going to be returned to humanity. Money is not going to be an issue in the future, as I've always known since I was a little child. For me, money comes, goes, and for 10 years I've lived in hotel caves, sold my 2 homes over my head, been extremely courageous, jumped on aeroplanes to Washington DC, held frequency out of the heart of London for 24 years, so that the light collapses those obsolete systems of banking and so many things, just through being still and through being Zen, and doing what the guidance is moment to moment. So in 3 different continents in hotels, and not charging now for the last 10 years for 90% of what I do. So people say, well, how do you pay such huge bills every month? Well, because I sold 2 homes. And each time I think it's coming to zero, my money, because I'm in a state of grace, because this is what all of us can be when we're courageous and do things not for ourselves, but for the higher good, as service to humanity.
And true abundance knows that God will provide whatever you need. If you happen to need $1 million because you're maybe producing another movie, that will appear. But it's not because you want the $1 million to hoard it. It's because it's for the greater good, the collective consciousness. You're anchoring love, so it appears as an energy. It's just there, it's available. And if more people could step into that, claiming their sovereignty, claiming their divine right for that abundance, because it's the true nature. It's God is infinite, limitless. We are that. Yeah.
Beautiful. You're so beautiful. So the new earth frequencies, new earth, a lot of new agers or people on the spiritual path. First of all, everything is spiritual, guys. Everything is spiritual, and the dark serves the light. Ultimately, the dark is not real, but the shadow exists within each and every one. So if you want to clear the shadows on the world stage, clear them within yourself. Everybody, in past lives, we've all done a lot of horrible things. So as Babaji says, Mahavatar Christ Yogi Babaji says, who's not a person, it's a huge force field of Shiva energy, which is beyond, it's got nothing to do with Hinduism. These are archetypal energies that exist within all of us. We can give it different names based on which, whether it's Chinese or Indian or the Essenes, and I work with Jesus, Mary, Metatron, Melchizedek, all these beings.
We're that stream of consciousness, aren't we, Rashmi? That's how I see it. We're all part of that stream. And I love that you say that. I resonate to that so much. That's so beautiful.
Every archangel, every ascended master is within us. We are the ascended masters reawakening. We are the avataric beings reawakening. What does avatar means? It means all that is in a physical body here now. All that is in a physical body in here now. So even David Icke says, in the positive part of what he says, just understand you're just a point of perception. You think you're that point, but actually you're infinite. Actually, just allow that illusion to shatter. And I call it in the book, The Divine Mother Speaks, The Healing of the Human Heart, where I'm channeling the goddess Hathor, and everything is me. I'm one with the Buddha. I'm one with Shiva. Many people say I look like Babaji. I am Babaji, or some people call me the Divine Mother. Some people call me mystic. Some people call me stupid. I'm a mirror. I'm nothing. Whatever. So the thing is that, we have to let go of all these labels. That books were channeled. Those are very good for people because they can help people, to just ignite their light within, ignite sovereignty within, ignite integrity, which is matching the thought, the word, and the deed, coming out of monkey mind. So time is the tyranny, and time and money are the tyranny of monkey mind, that everything is lacking, that time is lacking, that time is money. It's a whole load of nonsense. That's absolute nonsense, right? So New Earth is not a place that we go to, guys. New Earth is a frequency that we embody. Fifth dimension is a frequency we embody. All the dimensions are within me. All the universes are within me. I am all that is, and I am nothing. At the core, I am nothing. I am nothingness.
We are the womb energy. We are that in which all creation exploded out of. Yeah, that zero point.
The black hole, the womb, the deep silence. All highest truth can only be understood in deep silence. It all comes through the feeling body. So quit thinking and come into how you feel. But then you go, I don't know. Of course you don't. For so many thousands of lifetimes and years in this lifetime, people are mind-oriented. Now all that is collapsing. The photonic energies are not allowing people to think anymore. They're not allowing people to have memory anymore. It's all about being very present in the now moment. Connect to your body. How do we do that? Through the breath. How do we do that? By observing monkey mind, not trying to cut, because 10 other heads of the dragon will come up. Just observe and come into your gut, your tummy, the brain in your tummy, and your heart frequency, or you can do it through your third eye. But there's no point coming into your third eye and your crown and your soul star chakra and your galactic chakras and all that is if you're not ready to ground to the center of the earth, because we are bringing heaven to earth this time.
Yeah, love it.
We are going to be totally human and divine at the same time. So if anything, you were asking me earlier, I've learned to be a human, and with each, I consider myself ageless and eternal and a little teenager, really, like a child.
Love it.
What energy do you get off me? I feel like a little, divine golden child, and sometimes like a nasty
I
child.
feel a sisterhood with you. As I was telling you before we started recording, my great-grandmother is Indian, and I just know, I feel like we were sisters or something in a past life, doing meditation and probably making shapes in our bodies through what we now call yoga asana, and, just mucking around, but, understanding what this time is all about, and, choosing to turn back up in human form for 2020, and what a time to be alive. And, it's incredibly exciting. I know there's a lot of turbulent emotions going on, and you and I are going through this whole ascension process as well, and it's intense. But mostly it's just so beautiful, and remembering that we're those magnetic beings, and coming back to 0 point. And I just find you just magical, a magical being.
How do we come to 0 point? It's through collapsing polarity. It's through coming to the equipoise between dark and light, by marrying that dark into the light of us, by forgiving it, by thanking it for the lessons, because it taught us lessons. If you just had white paint on a white canvas, we wouldn't have had this experiment.
There's no contrast, is there? Yeah.
We're supposed to go to the densest places. But now is going to happen, and is happening for many of us, and it's going to happen more and more, of this new earth frequency, where we're in physical bodies, but the body is moving from carbon to crystalline, liquid gold, liquid rainbow, liquid diamond, crystalline energy. And it's, as you said, a holographic reality, and it's fluid. And so going with the flow, and how do we this, how do we that, how do we the other, allow it. It's all happening. It's an organic process. You don't have to pay thousands of pounds to do ascension courses, though by all means, if you're highly holy guided, go. And people ring me from all over the world now and just say, we want to do this. I've actually now wiped out all my websites and just kept the basic Rashmi Khilnani, just to have a little bouncing board. But people can Google, me and the books and the radio shows, and the film will all come up. But I don't teach all those systems anymore, because they were relevant at a certain time, and they may still be relevant for certain people. But we've sent so many teachers out there in the world that teach Sakem and Seishim and Rakuke, which is shamanic Reiki Mastery, and so many other things. But I don't need to do psychic surgery and be a psychic surgeon the way I was, and teach policemen and judges and lawyers and scientists and doctors and all sorts of students across the globe, many of which open centers. You see, because our presence heals, and everybody now has to heal themselves. That is the truth. And it's so simple. It's just a 0 point, the old stories, or go back to the past and change it. If I had a traumatic childhood, which I didn't really, but my mom put me on an airplane when I was 5 to take her saris back to India, and that wasn't fun. For 6 months I didn't see my mom, and but you can change that unpleasant experience, and then in the now moment it shifts. So you are the actor, director, producer, and filmmaker of your life. So when people say, who are you to be a goddess, or who are you to this, or who are you to that, or if they say, oh, you're so great, I'll say, I'm nothing. If they say, who are you to be so great, I'll say, well, as nothing, I can become, like Shakespeare play. You can choose your role.
You have endless options when you're nothing. You can choose in that moment who you wish to be, and you have a magic wand, therefore.
You don't take it seriously. You understand non-duality.
Good point.
You understand that I am not healing, that first of all, there is no I, me in that egotistical kind of way, that actually I am presence, and that holds space. And in that space, people heal themselves because they choose it. Unless people are ready to change, there's going to be no healing. And the greatest healing we do is through loving ourselves. That's Earth School, is to love yourself, even the dark parts, and forgive it. And then forgive people on the world stage. But you see, action reaction will happen in 3D and 4D. So whatever needs to occur to come to justice will. And that's not everybody's calling to go call it out. while you've got a whole load of, or I've got a whole load of rubbish going on inside of me. That's just not going to work. Not for anybody, whether whoever. So, you know, I really love Trump because I can read energy and I feel the frequencies, and for, you know, really put in energy for God to bring in Trump as opposed to the other person. Not that I'm into politics, but because it was so important for this wake up time. And, but you see, that doesn't mean that one, it's the energy, it's not the person.
Exactly. We have commissioned a trump card collectively. We have chosen a trump card through our collective consciousness, and he is playing his role. I broke down and wept the other night, just plugging him into his frequency, and just out of gratitude, I just wept for what that man is doing. And I was that person when he got into power, you know, back a few years ago, that felt a sense of doom. And I now understand what the doom was about. I now understand what the energy that was gearing up was to do with it, and it had nothing to do with him. And I now see clearly in the 2020 vision, I now see him so clearly. And, you know, I know he's an ascended master, or he's someone who's come in. He knows who he is.
The light of the divine is shining through him, and I work with Saint Germain, and we've been, especially during the lockdown.
No, I have to stop you there. I downloaded the other day, he is Saint Germain. I had that stream of consciousness. I nearly said it then. I'm so glad you said that.
Saint Germain is overshadowing the energies, and you know, I've worked for years with the seventh ray of spiritual freedom, the violet flame, and so different beings come in at different times depending on what's happening. And they're all I'm on the 7th floor in the heart of Delhi. There's a reason, at the base of the, you know, the crown chakra of the planet, but my energy, and it's in the Shiva Speaks book, is in Mount Kailash with Lord Shiva. But at the same time, I can be in Egypt, ancient Egypt, I keep saying. I can be in Egypt, I can be in America. I said to Trump's higher self in February, I said, I'm not coming to DC this time, you need to come to Delhi. And I just put it out there. It's not like I spend hours over all of this. I'm just getting about my daily, you know, I live in a hotel, so there's a cleaning procedure, and then there's a food procedure. I don't have a kitchen. It's, you know, it's my hotel cave. But I've got 30 acres of trees that were donated by the Maharaja of Kashmir when India got independence, overlooking the embassies. I'm always put strategically in certain places for the planetary grid work. And I couldn't believe it, because they said he's coming to India, and he came, and then they said he's going to Gujarat. So downstairs I have a florist, and she's my friend, and she's quite spiritual. And so I buy flowers sometimes, because now the hotel doesn't give me free flowers. And she said he's actually coming to Delhi, and we're doing the wreath for the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial. So I said, please ring me when you're doing that, because I want to come and bless the wreath before he puts it on. Because I'd already done some energy work with this other person who was very pure, actually my hairdresser of all the people, and done these ceremonies since Trump has been in power, asking for the collapse of war, asking for peace in every human heart. Then I did another one. This was over a period of 2 years or 1.5 years. And this guy is very, very pure Shiv packed, you know, even though he's a very normal person, and my champi malish, Indian head massage, and half my age, but very pure. And so he was sent with me to hold the energy of divine masculine, divine feminine, you know, with the Shiva Lingam, which I don't really understand. He knows all that part, you know. I only work with the energies. I'm not so religious. And then when I asked for the peace thing, the next day Trump signed the peace treaty with Korea. Then I asked for serenity of all human beings, and we all prayed with pure heart. And these were on particular gates, such as 8-8 gate, when that big eclipse was happening in America, and so on. And then a law was passed in India for equal rights for gay men and gay ladies and all kind. So I never watched the news, but 2016 I was on the television, and I was sending energy for Trump, because I knew if Hillary had come in, we would have had World War III and maybe all been dead by now. It was not a very pleasant.
Exactly.
So this has nothing to do with Republicans and Democrats. And ultimately, as I keep saying, we must integrate dark and light within ourselves. If we don't do this, we'll just keep replaying the nonsense and non-doership, which is ultimately nobody is doing anything. That brings the humility. And at the same time, false humility is silly, like, who am I to shine the light? Well, who am I not to shine the light? I am the light.
Yeah, we are that.
Yeah, don't be afraid of your light. But on the other hand, understand it's a holographic reality. These labels don't mean anything.
Don't
So
take yourself
new
seriously. Yeah.
New Earth frequency is about being that golden child again. It's
Yeah.
about being one with nature. It's about revering the sacred elements within and without. Earth, water, fire, air, ether is what I am and you are made of, is what our manifest reality is made of. And these have been poisoned on every single level. We don't need to get into the whole chemtrail and all the rest of it. We can transmute everything. We are biophotonic energy, we are plasma energy, we are golden energy, diamond energy, rainbow energy, violet energy. Bring in whatever you need and then go, but I don't know if it's working, and I believe in my concept. Spirituality is never a concept, guys. It's never a belief. And so that new earth frequency is grounded heart, heaven on earth, you know, and at the same time being very human, because we are bringing heaven and earth together. And then within that, there will be many new earths, possibly, because different people will go possibly into different levels of soul journeying, even within this grand ascension, where the collapse of time and space is occurring. And then, you know, levitation and teleporting, telepathy. I mean, mostly it's all telepathic. I'm talking to Trump a lot, you know, as in very brief, but it happens every day. Like you're my best friend. Yeah. And I call him Donald, and he calls me Princess. It's just whatever it is. It's just a thing.
Yes, and we can all have that communion with any being, with any soul.
Yeah,
and we just have to plug in.
Oh, it's so telepathic that most of the time I don't even need to do that.
Yeah.
But every now and then, like, you know, even more important than your election, Donald, is, you know, putting the stuff into place for the new gold standard first. However, this is again an interim phase. Ultimately, there will be no need for money at all, but we have to go through the stages, because we've gone so dark for so long. We can't just suddenly come up, you know, after being 10 atmospheres below the ocean.
I believe David Wilcock says that if we were to suddenly have that photonic light come in at a level that we haven't adjusted to, it's going to make us crazy in the mind. So it has to happen incrementally. We have to integrate that light, and then we can completely wake up from this dream spell that we've chosen to put ourselves under, this galactic sleep cycle that we needed to play out. We needed to have the contrast. We needed to understand the dark in order to truly appreciate and know what love is. We can't know what love is unless we've been tested to rise up and choose love.
Yeah, what love is and what innocence is of divine play.
Yeah,
that
beautiful.
we call it Leela in Sanskrit. It's all divine play. And it can be joyous, extremely abundant. There's no lack, because it all comes from nothing. You know, people say, you've got no money, and then how do you get to spin around the planet and, you know, live 10 years in hotels? Nobody believes I'm not a millionaires. And I go, because it comes from nothing. No man pays my bills. I don't charge for 99%. And even I'm quite surprised that I thought I'd check into the Omni Hotel in the Blue Ridge Mountains near DC for 1 minute. You know, Trump has his vineyards there and also comes for one night. And I was there 4 years on, you know, coming and going from London, 3 months there, because the mission was America at the time. The mission was to create that film and bring them all together. The mission before that was to get Leonard on track, because he was teaching sacred elements and teaching rebirthing modern Kriya Yoga and the Shiva wisdom all across the West, getting people out of their minds, getting them into nature and so many things. You know, getting Bob Friedman for another 10 years on track. Now they're both in heaven, but they had a huge innings after we got them on track, because he had to publish more books that are helping so many. These are very high energy books that a lot of people get called cuckoo for, you know, like remote viewing and teleporting and people talking to you live and so on and so forth. And
it's
then
becoming everyday language now. There's been so many people awaken, and I think they're probably surprised how quickly they've adjusted their own language to be talking of these concepts and to truly understand what these concepts are. Yeah, it's exciting to see it. I mean, I've run my business for 22 years, and I've lived in a bubble most of that time, in my own bubble. And really, this year, we have come outside of our bubble of our own. We've got our own websites. We keep everything very much in that sacred boundary. But we've come out onto doing podcasts, YouTube. We're out there because we know that's part of our mission. And it's wonderful to see people understanding the language. Where I was called Moonbeam for so many years, and I thought that was a compliment, even though I knew they were putting me down. But yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, we are sisters, because Rashmi means moonbeam.
Oh,
It
yes.
means moonlight
Yeah.
and sunlight.
Yes.
It was sunlight. Well, I always thought it's moonlight, but it's both, because the moon gets a light from the sun.
Incredible.
And so, so beautiful. Each of us has to now freely share whatever we have, and that's how we create. It's all about celebration. It's about acceptance of what was. It's about forgiveness of self and others. And in the absolute reality at the core of our beings, there is just the unified field of consciousness. There is no separation. So who has to forgive who? But in the periphery, as the individual selves that we get to be, there is, 3D and 4D reality, and we have personality selves, and we get to be unique. And so it's not, unity doesn't mean following all blindly in a groupie situation. No. I may have made film with some of these people and all, but that doesn't mean I was ever a groupie anywhere. Never.
Yeah, you really understand that. It's such a essential part of your teaching, because that's what's required at the moment, that everyone claims the sovereign power within. That's the only way through this. If we're going through together, then let's all wake up now and remember the divinity within ourselves. Yeah, love your teachings. You're such a beautiful soul.
And create, and choose joy. For so long, everybody's chosen misery. Suffering is now an option. Suffering only exists within the mind. And so as soon as we come into heart, soul, into the crown, into the third eye, into just pure play for the sake of it, pure creation for the sake of it. Not saying, I have to edit it, it has to be perfect, this, that. Do something and get it out. People need that. People need your voice. I mean, I should really be getting onto Facebook Lives and doing solo things, but I just find that a little bit, little boring, and so I do. I mean, for a while I was just guided to be very silent and hold the space during the lockdown.
Yeah.
Really, I couldn't even listen to music some of the time, and I'm in a building that's 1 kilometer long, and the whole place got emptied out, and I was here, with the Ascended Masters up there and talking to Trump and all this stuff. There was so much peace and silence, and the trees and the birds and the peacocks. I mean, that's Mr. Modi, Prime Minister next door. But now it's like, okay, it's time to speak now and really get the messages across.
But I think what you just said is important, because if we do listen to that internal guidance system, sometimes it is meditation, sometimes it is taking action, speaking, writing. It could just be talking to someone, at the grocery store, because in that moment you feel called to have a deeper conversation about what's going on. It appears in any moment, and if you're in touch with your feeling self, you will act according to what you know to be right. And that's all we have to do. Just stay present.
You see, people don't want to feel their feelings because they feel their feelings will kill them, because that's the way the conditioning and the habit. But the truth is, it's all covered in the Divine Mother Speaks, the healing of the human heart. Healing is feeling. And so if we don't feel our feelings, that's what's actually going to kill us. And that's what causes cancer and all these silly things. So all that trauma if you're feeling anger or trauma or pain, just breathe into it and allow a little part. You don't have to have a 365 Broadway hit of the trauma. You can go to a healer or a yoga thing or a massage session, or as guided, do Reiki 1 or whatever you're going guided to do, or listening to a show. But ultimately, don't attach the emotion, because emotion is feeling plus thought added to it, chronic, not that, just that pure feeling, and you let it go through, and on the other side is that bliss, is the joy, because that is our organic inner innate nature.
It's why I practice yoga, not because I have to, not because I'm trying to advance my poses, but it gives me an opportunity to breathe, to be, and to feel within the physical layers, because obviously yoga is many things. It's meditation, it's chant, it's poses, But oftentimes I still like to do the poses, even though I'm aging, because I can locate where there's a frequency in the body. I can just sit with that feeling without a story, without attaching a story to it. And that's, you know, the consciousness is arising through the different body parts, and it's just about feeling. It's just about loving whatever you discover within yourself. It's like, hey there, I'm just going to shine some light here and pay attention and love you, whatever it is. Even if I'm feeling wretched, you know, I'm going to love that feeling too. Yeah.
And the other thing is projection. You know, currently we have created this whole corona drama collectively in order to wake up, in order to go within, in order to get simple, in order to reset, in order to reflect. What we think is normal isn't normal at all. It's all upside down. And so instead of pointing constantly at that outer shadow, really take this time to clean the inner act and to let go of what is not simple, truthful, and loving, not for some teacher out there, but for yourself. And how do you know that unless you get quiet and get still and switch off the gizmos and go within, however that is for you, whether it's a walk or a jog or wholeheartedly painting or singing or dancing or vomit writing, and then, you know, after the vomit writing, getting into some creative journaling or whatever that is for you.
Yeah.
Find who you are and how you feel, and heal those inner shadows. And then the outer shadows they won't even exist, at least not in your reality. What is your challenge right now, beautiful goddess? What is your challenge in this now moment in Australia? What a beautiful place you live in, you know, or the Pleiadian spaceships in Queensland there.
Yes, yeah. I live on Magnetic Island, and there's literally quartz crystal in there's huge boulders all over the island, and there's quartz crystal in the boulders. And the reason it was called Magnetic Island is because it would throw the compass or the ship's navigation systems off, because the quartz would draw them back. So people come to this island to heal themselves. So it amplifies everything that we think, we feel. It's very powerful. So I sit here gritting every single day, mainly been working on, you know, healing the children. We've got our own charity in Cambodia, a school there, which we work in conjunction with another beautiful soul who's built 4 schools. And it's not really about education. It's about getting the kids out of the vulnerable areas, because they do get kidnapped and they do get sold into sex slavery. So that's really my focus and I guess that's been my challenge, is working on integrating the horror of what's been going on, and then finding out what's happening in, you know, all of Australia, but obviously with Victoria, they're in lockdown. You know, I guess my challenge is trying to discern between the draconian measures that are rolling out there. And I understand that creates an opportunity for people to wake up, and the screws need to be tightened for them to wake up. But also too, you know, understanding what's going on under the ground in the tunnels, you know, integrating the horror of what's happening to our children. That's why I love your teachings about healing our own wounded child, because as you teach so beautifully, we have to do the work in here. That's the only place we go to do the work, to heal what's happening out there. So
energies are so high that, you know, it doesn't have to be 20 years like the pioneers had to do.
Yeah.
It's much quicker. Just a little bit of a pause, a little bit of a breath, a little bit of a song or a dance, dancing out anger. Don't lash and project it out as the external, you know, we want to get them to Guantanamo Bay immediately. Of course, it's going to be horrific, and it already is beyond the beyond. However, even the children chose what they chose. I know that sounds so cruel, but the truth is death.
I agree.
Death doesn't exist. None of these things it's just like a horror film. You chose that horror film to experience something or to go through it so people would wake up at this time. Exactly. Whatever the reason, the truth is all that can be changed again and released and come to healing or a new body or another universe of beauty. And so the dark is not real as soon as the light shines on it. And meanwhile, there are people that it is their path to go and be activists and so on and so forth. Everybody has a different part of the jigsaw puzzle. So find out what yours is, and you won't know how it is or what it is if you keep doing the 9-to-5 job just to pay the bill, you know, or even if you do, just go a little bit deeper, everybody.
I want to go on from what you're saying there. Two things. One is about the children, and a beautiful Australian lady, Fiona Barnett, who grew up in a satanic family, and she has given her testimony with ITNJ, the work that Sasha Stone is doing. And listening to her is incredibly moving. She's so centered, so self-contained. And she talked about these children who'd never seen the light of day, and how they spoke to the light man, and she knew that to be Jesus. And it was so comforting to hear that, because we know that those children who are going through what we would consider, horror, trauma, the portal opens to the light. Jesus comes, Mary comes, that stream of consciousness comes to them. And I think we have to all remember that. Yeah, we have to remember that, and that helped me so much.
They start disassociating, and then they leave their bodies. They're just with the light. They're at home. They're home with source.
Oh.
And meanwhile, their bodies are going through whatever, because that's what they either, there are karmic reasons, there are soul contracts, and some of us just, as I say, choose to come as actors in a nightmare.
Makes me want to cry, Rashmi. That I've got goosebumps you saying that. I just well up. I really want to cry. More it's grief, but it's joy as well.
They're helping us to heal our inner child. They help the collective.
Yeah.
Seth called it. Seth's amazing. In the 90s or whenever it was, Seth Speaks by Jane Roberts, I think it was, and one of his books was The Individual and the Theory of Mass Events. So why do sometimes thousands of people choose to die in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, or the Twin Towers, or other catastrophes? Because their souls choose to do something collectively for service of huge raising of consciousness on the planet. There's always a bigger picture and a bigger picture and a bigger picture. So that's why it's easier for me, because I'm very cosmic, I'm very expansive.
Yes.
And that's what we all are, because some people call me Earth Mother. Yes, I am, but I'm actually extremely etheric, and that ether piece is so important. That ether is the 13th frequency. It's the 13th chakra. It's that Om. It's ether.
Yeah.
We're going beyond our five senses into sensuality, which is not just about sexuality, but it's those senses that are etheric, that the seventh sense, which is the spiritual sense. Because psychic can also be, channeling disembodied, very dark energies that are not embodied now. Be careful what you're channeling. Ask, is it of the light and fully of the light? And if it isn't, well, still love it into yourself or tell it to go.
Yeah.
And it has to go. 3 times you tell the entity to go, as a sovereign being, it has to go. If you don't want it, to be clear. So knowingness is so important. Know thyself.
Yeah.
Forgive thyself. Knowingness. The sun is going to rise. The taste of water. When someone loves you. You can't see it. You can't feel it. You can't touch it. You can't maybe smell it. Though you may also be able to do those things, but you know it. And that through that body, that comes through being in your body. When you're in your mind, you get out of your body. Everything goes wrong. There's a lack of everything.
Well, I know. I know what's going on in Victoria. It came through, and you may not be aware that in Victoria in particular, and it is all over the rest of the country, but in Victoria in particular, they literally say football is their religion. And so they turn up week in, week out to these football games, taking their children there. Oh, it's all about warmongering, really, because they constantly create us versus them. And they cast their energy out obsessively, constantly, to this us versus them mentality, to this warring between teams. And they take it so seriously. They have truly forgotten the light within themselves, and they obsess about these, poor young men, I see it as, running around a field. Now, anyone who's from Victoria will be offended, no doubt, with what I'm saying, but I believe they have created their reality of war. It's like that egregore energy that they've fed into is now coming and eating them alive. So therefore they have the power to change that. If they dive back within themselves, if they honor that light within themselves, football is no longer the religion. They are the religion. They are the sovereign being. And that is what's come through for me. And, you know, I wanted to get your insights into that, see if that sort of resonates with you as well, because
yes, of course, you know, all these things are going to be of the past. They're all inverted nonsense, you know, this adulation of pop stars and film. And I mean, I could never really go to any of these. I mean, even a concert, once I tried to do a Phil Collins concert in London, and that was not so rah rah hurrah Henry, but even there it was just, I had the best seats, and I, you know, I couldn't do it because it's that collective, you know. There are certain places where the frequencies are okay, like, you know, like when you go to see Amaji and she hugs you, and so there's a lot of people there, but they're playing sacred music, and people are in meditation, and they're quiet generally, and their children are with them, and it's a gathering, and it's a get together, you know. And then there's nice food.
I've been there.
There's nice,
so beautiful.
home-cooked vegetarian food and things like that afterwards. There's a lot of service going on. So it's a slightly different vibe than a whole, you know. One time I went to the game in America because, you know, my publisher and all my spiritual friends were like, no, you got to come to the ball game. And I was like, I don't want to see the screwball. Forget that, man. And they took me, and I said, you know, I got myself some popcorn. But I was so shocked to see Russell and Bob on both sides of me turning into, I don't know what. They were spiritual, but they were like, and I was like, oh, get me out of here.
I mean, maybe it's a catharsis yelling like that. So I guess there's, you know, like in anything, there's the
like
healing side, and that's great.
It's like the Roman gladiator nonsense. It's just, this is the modern version.
It creates a frenzy of energy, and that's when they forget who they are. They get fed into the group mentality.
So, you know, it's just about working on yourself. And then when your light is shining bright enough, people will come to you. And if they don't come to you, you just be. It's all about being. I could just be on a park bench, which is really what, you know, and that self-realization, that energy emanates for the whole world, rather than if I'm just going from one show to the next. All the people I want to do shows with right now, they are so busy, they're not sleeping, they're getting overly caught up with this dark light nonsense, and I respect these people, which is why I want to do shows with them, because they're reaching out to a lot of people, and they worked very hard on themselves. I won't mention names, but you know, to say you don't even have 2 minutes to get onto Messenger to talk for 2 minutes, that you're always in back-to-back calls, that you're always in back-to-back shows, that you're always in back-to-back conspiracy, which isn't conspiracy at all, but in you know, all this dark light. Well, then where is the time to play and to be innocent and to be in nature? And to be in joy and to be hugging somebody, because, you know, that's
quickly
really...
they can go into excess, even though the intention starts out as pure and wanting to assist. But unless we keep the self in balance, exactly, that's it.
Divine balance. You know, it's the infinity symbol that our dear friend Charlie Freak talks about, and you know, in Egyptian. And I've done some beautiful paintings with golden age paintings, my art of the heart. They're all over my place here in my spaceship. And you know, you give yourself, you give others. It goes backwards. You know, it's infinite. It's magnetic. It's the energies of, you know, ancient Egypt, all the great wisdoms, you know, beyond the religions, of the spirituality, the essence, the Tao, the Zen path. So in your personal life and day to day, what is your biggest challenge?
Wow, waking up. I usually wake up. I usually wake up with about 5 to 10 seconds of depression. I would say that I'm still in the human body, so I'd say that's my biggest challenge. And it's so refreshing listening to you, because, you know, when you talk about it, and it's not that I don't know this, you know, we're anchoring the heaven and the earth, but I think my biggest challenge, and always has been from the moment I was born, is I just want to go home. You know, I have this affinity with Andromeda. I want to go home.
Being a human being, which was my challenge all these years, and it still is. You know, like I had boyfriends that were very spiritual and partners. You know, the last one that was a major one was Enoch in London. And he and his little daughter, who was I don't like the word step, Zena was a lovely child. They would do this whole ritual in the morning to get me out of the four-poster bed, you know.
Yeah.
Very IKEA bed, but it was very cute. And in St. Albans, which was, you know, I lived in London, but then he had a home there. And they were like, yup, Rashmi, yup. And I was like, no, you know, just the eating, sleeping, eating, just, you know, all that was. The hotel is really good for me because at the Ashok, if I don't get up at a certain time, I won't get my breakfast delivered to me instead of having to go down and be in the hordes, you know.
Yeah.
If I don't then get my room cleaned, and then so there's a routine and a rhythm.
Can help. Yes.
The first 4 or 5 hours of the days in India, you just get very busy with, you know, you don't just say, okay, the room's going to get clean. No, you're with them, and there's a lot of interaction, and it's a whole ceremony in itself.
Nice. Love that.
It's really good because it makes me get up and get going, and gives me that routine, you know, because otherwise I absolutely hate 9 to 5 or linear or anything.
Yeah. Yes. No, well, I mean, I live alone. I have my dog and I live alone, and I pretty much stay in a bliss bubble. Other than that, you know, having that groundhog day of, oh shit, still in the body. Oh, that's all right, get on with it. And then, you know, within not too long, I'm excited again. But what would you say your greatest challenge at the moment in the day-to-day is?
Just what I've just shared, you know, still the mundane, having to eat and all. I mean, I love food and I love the taste of it, but the whole, and I mean, in a hotel, you're very spoiled in one way.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just like, you know, keep drinking water, keep going to the loo, keep drinking water, keep going to the loo.
That's it. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, you know, what did I do with my day? You know, it's like so much time. And then even the sleeping thing, I used to say, oh, if we can have fun, why sleep? It's such a, that's a boring thing to do. But, you know, then the body gets tired sometimes and you do need to sleep. And sleep is so important right now.
Yeah.
I think my challenge is that I've all my life is like, come on, guys, can't you see, you know, there's so much more. You're clinging to those silly little toys of 100 billion years ago. Now, brand new toys are here for you, you know, celestial toys with no lack. Let's play, you know, let's celebrate, let's be the divine children. And I've done that all over the world. I was invited to Osho Leela to initiate 150 people into the heart energies from 9 to 90 years of age near Stonehenge. And normally that would be given to my second master, you know, that had studied many levels of Reiki and various things before they got that initiation. And here were 150 people, and Swabhava said no. And there was thunder and lightning that night. There was a Mystical Hearts Festival. There were healers and pagans and shamans, and they all went to Stonehenge and they did the firewalks and they did. And I was just like 24/7. They were saying, you know, you can charge for this, you can do that workshop. I was like, no, I'm just in the 24/7 holding frequency and being in this, I smoke, but I don't inhale. And so I was in the smoking. I love being outside. So I was there. And so whoever really had the courage to come and see me and come into the temple there, the smoking temple, came and received 1-to-1 for free. They didn't have to pay, you know. They knew where to find me. Yeah. And the rest of the time was getting into the groups and meeting people and really holding the frequencies for 5 days. So that's what, and we were dancing a lot, and the whole Osho thing is a lot of ecstatic dance, and I was bringing, and even in the initiations I brought in a lot of the dance and because I do
that's
something called
energy. Yeah.
I do something called biodanza in London, and I really miss that because Rolando Toro was a genius, and again he takes you beyond your 5 senses into the other senses, and it's very, very, and it's very Latin American, though they have music from all over the world, and there are no steps, and so either you're tigers on the floor or you could be my mummy and I'm just being the little baby child, and amazing music,
enchanting,
to Amazing Grace, or it could be doing ballet, or you become a bird, and and then you dance in one. You dance in the circle, then you dance in twos, and there's no speaking. So it's all so experiential and sensual and way more ecstatic than a lot of, secret union can be almost.
Oh. Now, can I tell you that the light is coming in on you? It's creating a rainbow around your head and your aura. We can all see your aura. I hope that those who are watching it back can see it as clearly as I can. Yeah. So
We'll do another show maybe on Heros Gamo's Sacred Union, which we've kind of covered today. The male-female energies coming together, the Shiv Shakti, the Shu and Tefnut in the Egyptian Kartush or Isis, Osiris.
Sounds perfect.
Krishna Radhe and on abundance and so on. But it's been lovely to spend time with you. Is there any other urgent, burning question that can help everybody breathe more easily through, either as I said, we can go kicking and screaming or with grace and ease.
I feel you've covered it. You've really spoken truth, pure truth.
As the Hopi say, you see, and there's a different truth on different levels of the Empire State Building. The ground floor truth is not the truth of the top floor of the Empire State Building. Just a silly example. So honor your truth, honor other people's truth, even if you don't agree with it. Be respectful and honoring. We don't all have to agree with each other. We don't have to be groupies. And then later when you come to a greater understanding, then forgive yourself and don't be overly attached to the truth that doesn't work anymore. I'm teaching the wisdom teachings. They're not my teachings. These are the wisdom teachings that are eternal. We're all physical, immortal, eternal beings. And so as the Hopi say now, and I did sacred ceremony in Hopi land with the etheric spirit guides of Hopi land, and they said there is a Hopi prophecy. There is a fast-moving river. This is an analogy. And the current is moving very, very fast. Give up clinging to the sides, to the banks of the river, which is the comfort zone, the past, the known, so-called normal. Come to the center of the river. Lift your head above water. Put that oxygen mask on yourself. In other words, self-care, self-love. And see who's around you and celebrate. And celebrate means sharing. Celebrate means joy. It's not, misery. I mean, yes, you're in the center of that river. Your head is above water. And it's the unknown. It's the unknown. And moment to moment, the river could go up or down, or the wave could go up or down, or you could be there and gone. But you're riding those waves of the wisdom of uncertainty as, my not so great Deepak Chopra, who's in my film, says.
It's a beautiful analogy. My mother always says that, stop gripping onto the side of the riverbed and just let the current take you. So when you said that, it reminded me of my beautiful mother. Yeah.
Unknown, the unknown, because that's where the magic and mystery. It's as Joseph Campbell said, your bliss is on the other side of the cave that you fear to enter.
You truly are living. You're alive to the moment. Yeah. So beautiful. Well, I feel I could talk to you for days. Thank you so much, beautiful sister. You're just glorious in all ways, and thank you for sharing your light.
Sending love, joy, harmony, peace to you, to the people of Australia. My heart goes out to the people suffering everywhere. And now, as I said, suffering is optional. Let's help each other. Let's love each other, and let's forgive each other, and let's unite, because this is all way beyond.
Thank you for that, Reiki. Yeah. Oh.
It's the blessings of the Divine Mother, Father, Golden Child energies within each human. We are divine. We are human. Don't forget your divinity and your wisdom. Much love.
Much love. Namaste, beautiful Rashmi. We'll talk to you soon.